It's no secret to anyone who spoke to me for more than 5 seconds or looked at my channel for more than 5 minutes that I am a massive Dragon's Rising fan. I think it's an absolutely fantastic show that does an amazing job of pushing the worlds and characters of Ninjago forward. However, this is a take that not everyone agrees with. Ninjago fans quite often bicker about what the best era of the show is. I personally think it's Dragon's Rising. A lot of people might say it's the only trilogy, and others might say it's the revival era. However, I think what's important to keep in mind is that all of these takes are valid as long as they're presented in a respectful and kind manner to other people and you're not being rude about it, which is something that a lot of Ninjago fans just can't do. A couple of weeks ago, a YouTuber called Mr. Lazyboy made a video talking about Ninjago nostalgia merchants, who are people who talk about the good old days of Ninjago, and quite a lot of the time dislike Dragon's Rising. Over the course of this video, he calls out some Ninjago community members who are really negative about Dragon's Rising, but are also quite often rude to other community members and bigoted towards minorities. I am absolutely of the belief that people like this should be called out and mocked for who they are because it's absolutely ridiculous to act that way on the internet and it's just really scummy towards the people affected. So my final take on this is that you can have whatever opinion of the show you like as long as you are respectful to the people you talk about it with. Note that I do not think that a nostalgia merchant is someone who just prefers older seasons like the revival era or the classic era, and I also don't think being a nostalgia merchant is an inherently bad thing. Nostalgia is something that's really important to everyone, and I think it's really dumb to mock people who post about that and who do have nostalgia for the original show. It's a really important factor when judging a piece of media, and it's one that I think is really dumb to mock and ridicule, since we all have a bit of nostalgia for stuff. All in all, while I don't agree with the take that the original Ninjago show is better than Dragon's Rising, it's one where I can absolutely see where people are coming from, and I think it's absolutely valid to have as long as you're being respectful about it and being nice to other community members. However, this goes both ways in my opinion, and it's something that I don't think a lot of Ninjago Dragon's Rising fans realise, so I want to talk about it for a bit because I think it's a bit concerning to see the way the community is going. To address the elephant in the room, yes, Crystallized sucked. I think it's an absolutely terrible way to end the original show, and I think Dragon's Rising did an absolutely fantastic job of putting the pieces back together to make something actually good. However, because of this, Ninjago fans have kind of come to see Dragon's Rising as the perfect piece of media and the fix to all of Ninjago's problems. And while yes, it fixes most of them, I don't think it's the fix to all of them. However, this sentiment of mine is not shared in a lot of the community. I think a really good example of Dragon's Rising fans kind of overselling the show is the recent news that Moro is returning. In short, I think it could absolutely destroy Aaron's whole story about reconstructing his world if they just have Moro come in and redeem him. I think it's a really bad move and one that the show could take based off of recent news. So, being worried about the route the show might take, I went to Blue Sky to go talk about it and discuss it with some other Ninjago fans, and it was not met well, let me tell ya. I also want to quickly emphasize this is not the only criticism of Dragon's Rising Season 3 I have made. Yes, I know the season's not out, but I do still have doubts and worries going into it, and I do want to express those. One point of concern for me is the way Zane's going to be written in this season, because they've been consistently pretty bad at writing him for the past 2 years, and I just don't think this season's going to be a miracle fix for him at all. Another thing which I've been pretty vocal about is my disliking towards Rox and Nox being the leaders of Forbidden Fire. What we saw of them wasn't too impressive in my opinion, and them being the leaders considering we just sent the entire tournament focusing on them is a bit lame in my opinion, because I would like to learn more about these guys. Seeing these completely reasonable complaints I have for Dragon's Rising Season 3, I'm sure you can imagine that the community reaction was warm and understanding, willing to discuss why they could like or dislike this season in a completely reasonable and rational manner. Well, I can tell you, that is absolutely not what has happened. Quite a few of the people have disagreed with me on the fact that Season 3 of Dragon's Rising could potentially be pretty bad. That isn't where I take issue though. I take issue with the fact that these concerns and doubts are being hand-waved with broad and sweeping statements about the Ninjago community, making it kind of insufferable to talk to people about this. Moving forward, I really want to emphasize this. I do not take issue with the fact that people have disagreed with me on this. I take issue with the fact that the Ninjago community is hand-waving criticism of the show again, and I think it's a really annoying repeat of what happened in 2022 when Crystallized dropped. I think Ninjago fans seeing Crystallized thought that at that point Ninjago was too big to fail, and that it really couldn't mess up at this point. Well, lo and behold, the season dropped and it was terrible. It fumbled absolutely every single plot point it touched, and it's genuinely amazing how badly they messed it up. As you can imagine, but as the season was dropping, a lot of Ninjago fans really didn't want to hear a lot of the doubts and criticisms people had with the season, and this continued up until after the part 2 release, when the community was rather divided between loving it and hating it. Now me personally, I'm a big Crystallized Part 2 hater. However, I think that if you like it, that's perfectly fine, as long as you are respectful to others about your opinions and their opinions. However, I think the problem with the Ninjago community at the moment is that there's a lot of toxic positivity around Dragons Rising. The term I often use for this is shilling, because it just feels like people are selling the show to me like used car salesmen, and it's really annoying. I think the idea that Dragons Rising is too big to fail and that they can't mess up is really silly in my opinion. Yes, I know they have a plan for Dragons Rising, that doesn't mean the plan is good. It could be absolutely horrendous and we just won't know until it drops. Until then, I'm going to voice criticisms and concerns that I have with what could be coming for Dragons Rising. I think a lot of fans of Dragons Rising don't want the show to be criticised because at this point it's too good to fail. You have to blindly trust the writers. But no, I don't want to do that. I absolutely love Dragons Rising, sure, but Crystallized kind of put me in a state where I don't think I can ever fully trust the Ninjago franchise again, and that is fine if I'm being honest. As long as they keep putting out actually good content, it doesn't matter how much I actually trust them as long as the content there is good. However, a lot of Ninjago Dragons Rising fans have been in my replies and talking to me recently about how I should love Season 3 so far, and I should have faith in the writers, when like, no, I don't have to, man, I'm gonna be honest. What I've seen of Season 3 so far doesn't look all that promising, and I really hope it's good. I really do want it to, because I loved Season 2 and I thought Season 1 was great. But I don't know, man, what I've seen of Season 3 just doesn't seem all that to me. I don't know, man, it feels really odd how Ninjago Dragons Rising superfans just don't seem to want the show to be criticised at all. I think it's really annoying to see Ninjago Dragons Rising superfans try and shut down any critical discussion of the show, and to then see them make sweeping statements about the community or portray the discussion as some sort of drama. I think it's kind of a toxic way of going about discussion in a fandom, and I don't think it's any better just because it's Dragons Rising and because it's good. If it's toxic, and I think it should be called out every single time. I don't know, I'm just not enjoying discussing Dragons Rising with the Ninjago community at the moment, because I feel like everywhere I look there's people trying to sell the show to me. And yeah, I love the show, you don't need to sell me on it. I'm just being critical of what could come for Season 3, and I think you guys need to accept that that's totally fine. Every show has some good, and every show has some bad, but I don't think that's any reason to try and shut down any discussion of it, because that's really toxic. If you do want to discuss with someone when you disagree with them, be respectful and let the conversation play out. Constantly trying to shut it down or making sweeping statements is really annoying, and absolutely should not be the standard for any fandom. Please do not do that. Be respectful when you talk to people, and do not try and impose your opinion upon them. If people disagree, that's completely fine and normal, and I think Ninjago Dragons Rising fans need to accept that, even when it's criticism of the show. Alright, that's about all I've got for this video. Let me know what you guys thought of this one, because it's a bit of a different style of video for me, so let me know what you think of it, and if you like it, I'll make more. Who knows? Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, it really helps support me and the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.
You feel tight, look at yourself. Inside your heart, you will find the special place to unlock.